Hi, I'm Émilie Chen. I'm an independent graphic designer and art director from France, based in London. They basically sent me an A4 both-sided sheet with everyone's email address and names.
That's like finding the Holy Grail or something.
People are unbelievably generous with their advice, with their time. If you just dare to put yourself out there, to knock at the door, to say hi. The recipe is always the same. It's always the answer. Reach out to people, follow up.
Yes, how are you? Welcome to another one. I'm Steve Folland. I'm a freelance video and podcast editor. Been making Being Freelance now for over 11 years. Please do check out all of the other episodes and come find everything that we're up to with the community, the course, the newsletter as well. Have you signed up for that? beingfreelance.com. Today, though, we are off to, well, actually London, but it sounds like we're off to France because Emily is originally from France, to speak to independent art director and designer, and that is Émilie Chen. Hey, Emily.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this. As ever, how about we get started hearing how you got started being freelance?
It's a journey that has had several chapters. To give you a bit of context, maybe, so I studied graphic design in France, graduated during the recession, so it was really tough to find a job. I wanted to have an experience in London, so I did, internship both in France and in London, went back and forth a bit. It took a while for me to find a job, eventually found one as a creative art worker in Paris, and then I quit after 9 months, moved to London, and it was another 9 months before I started my first proper role in London. In the interval, I did a tiny bit of freelance, but it was really because I couldn't find anything else, and I really didn't think that was the way for me. Then, fast forward a few years, I worked for a while at Penland Brands at the National Theatre. And in parallel, I did a tiny bit of freelance, but again, it was more friends coming to me asking if I could help with some design things and me saying yes, rather than any intentional thing on my part to be a freelancer, pursue freelancing. And then I guess a few things happened. So by this time, 6-7 years into my career, working as a senior designer at the National Theatre, which was my dream role, I should say. My dream when I was at uni was to do theatre poster and book covers. So it was like I was pinching myself that it was my job. And for a while, it was really good. And then things started turning sour in the studio at the National Theatre, in-house at the National Theatre. I don't really want to get into the details of this, but basically it got to a place where my mental health was struggling. I had lost my spark, even though the work was still interesting. And also, I guess, I had been in that role for 3.5 years, and I didn't really want to, progress within that team. So I kind of got to a place where I had to ask myself, what's next? And that was a bit scary because obviously, where do you go after a dream job?
Yeah.
And also, I had no idea how to go around freelancing if I was going to do freelance. But I basically decided at Christmas I was giving myself until the summer to, get things in order, save money, and figure out my next steps. And in parallel to the National Theatre, I guess a couple of things happened in parallel. One of them is I started the design community Ladies, Wine and Design. Those who don't know, was started in New York by a kind of rock star graphic designer, Jessica Walsh, who noted that there were very few senior women that she knew in the industry, and that the one that she did know were more competitive rather than supportive. So she wanted to change that. So she came up with the idea to have these little informal silent nights once per month in New York, inviting basically the first 8 women that responded to the call out she put out to meet up for coffee. Or wine, more specifically, and to have an informal chat about their career, their ambitions, their side projects. And she put a call out on her Instagram saying, if you want to start a chapter in your own city, get in touch. And I thought it was a lovely idea because I had been in the industry a while, but I hadn't studied here. So most of the people that I know as designer were men. And I had mainly worked in 2 places, so I didn't have a huge pool of designers around me to start with. So yeah, I answered the call. Another woman, Helen Frill, an illustrator, had answered the call. I roped in someone that was working with me at the National Theatre, Louise Richardson, and yeah, we just started having drinks at the lobby of the National Theatre once a month. And word of mouth, it grew really fast. There was just a real appetite for women working in the industry to come together and discuss. We got offered spaces at agency to host events, so we started doing talks and portfolio reviews, and yeah, it just grew really fast. And even though I'm an introvert, my confidence also grew with it, as it was quite an organic process. And yeah, for a while I was kind of more helping with things behind the scenes, or yeah, while the more extroverted members of the team were kind of leading the conversations. But little by little, I felt the confidence that I could do that and, introduce talks and stuff like this. And the interesting part of this, so if we go back to your question about freelance, is I met a lot of freelancers, one-woman studios, and we did a talk about, going solo. At this stage, I was still not thinking that I would go freelance, but all of this was basically, information I was gathering at the back of my mind. And when eventually I was like, maybe I want to do freelance, I basically reached out to a lot of these women that I had met through the group and say, would you mind going for coffee? I think this is something that I might do if I can't find the right role. And I'd love your advice in terms of how do you go around finding clients, what advice you have for me, what type of challenges you met, and just build up my confidence, meeting all these different women, having different ways of working, telling me this is possible. I guess you can't be what you can't see, right? So that's what happened. Yeah.
And all comes from that, well, not just sitting there thinking, oh, that's a nice idea, wine and ladies with design, but actually making it happen in your city.
Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, yeah, I still can't believe, how we just started like 8 women in, at the lobby of the National Theatre, not really knowing what we were doing. And then, by the time I left, so 7 years in, we had like 4,000 followers on Instagram. We were invited to run even with Glug and DNA New Blood, It was incredible.
So that also presumably raised your profile. You weren't just an in-house designer. You had a profile of your own?
I guess informally, we never promoted, we were always a team. So by the end of it, I was the one that had been there the longest by far. Everyone else, moved to a different city or had babies and stopped doing this. So yeah, I was the person that was associated with it for the longest. And while I never pushed it on social or on LinkedIn, I never posted about this, people in the industry that we had met through events started knowing of me and following me and then seeing the work that I was doing. So I definitely feel like, it has led to other opportunities as well, like talking at universities and stuff like this. But yeah, I guess I have a bit of a profile behind the scene. Again, I don't have a really public profile in terms of design, but that's what was happening.
So you start to feel like you might want to go freelance.
Exactly.
You're having these conversations, but you haven't gone yet. So what happened?
Yeah. So I had these 8 months where I put a lot of money aside and had these chats, worked on my portfolio. And one thing that I started thinking about, the other thing that I thought I would love to do is book cover designs. So I had a look at jobs board and I saw a job advertised for a role at Penguin Books. But Penguin Books is huge. Obviously, they have a lot of team. And it was for an imprint I didn't know of, and I couldn't really find much information about them online. So I reached out to someone I had met socially at, which was a book cover designer, David Pearson, the legendary David Pearson. And just ask him over email, I've seen this ad, I'm thinking about applying, do you know anything about them? Do you have any advice? And he told me, it's a really commercial team. I don't know if it's quite the right fit for you, but they also do quite interesting work. But you know what? I know someone who worked there. You should reach out to them. Again, I'll keep the details quite loose, and because I don't want the person to get in trouble. But basically, I emailed that person out of the blue saying, "Oh, I've been told you work there by David. Would you mind telling me, your experience?" And he said, "Don't go there."
I thought this was about to be, come in.
No, I mean they had left. And so they said, I would not recommend it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. And then they say, have you considered freelancing? Just contacted different art directors at publishing houses around London to see if you could get some work. And I said, I don't really have any contacts and my preference would be a full-time job, but I'm open to try freelance. And they basically sent me an A4 both-sided sheet with everyone's email address and names.
That's like finding the Holy Grail or something.
I know, unbelievable, like such generosity, which is also why, I basically owe my freelance career. The building up the courage to go freelance came from meeting all these very generous freelancers. And I think, there's a lot of people don't really talk between themselves. They feel like they can't, reach out to the people for advice or stuff like this. But my experience has been people are unbelievably generous with their advice, with their time. They're really supportive. They're really championing each other. And up to today, I've got like a couple of WhatsApp groups going with other freelancers, and the support we give each other is pretty unbelievable. So yeah, I think the industry is unbelievably friendly and supportive. If you just, dare to put yourself out there, to knock at the door, to say hi, And obviously, some people are busy, they won't respond on all of this, but most of my experience has been incredibly positive.
Oh, it's going to be a good one. It is Emily's story continuing in a moment. Just want to let you know that this episode is supported by Ecamm. Thank you very much to them. It's like a video studio for your Mac, so that you can bring TV style-esque branding overlays to everything that you do that includes videos. Yes, even video calls. I'll tell you more about it later on, but if you want to try it for yourself, go to beingfreelance.com/ecamm. Right now, let's get back to Emily's story. So you have this document.
Yes. This Holy Grail. Yeah.
But you've still got to make the most of it. So what happened?
So I emailed a few people on there. Obviously, I was still working full-time at the National Theatre. I didn't have much time, but I was really selective about the people I was contacting. I reached out to Jim Stoddart at Penguin Books, Penguin Press, the team where David used to work, and he responded pretty immediately saying, oh, your book is really nice. We're not looking for support right now, but I'll keep your details on file. And then, I had a few nice chats with different people. There's only one that materialized into a brief, which was for Donna Payne at Faber Faber. So I worked with them on a project, which sadly was canned. It didn't go live. It was for the Playtext collection, which they still haven't rebranded 10 years later on. So I guess it's quite a hard place to change things, I guess. But so I had that one freelance brief going. Then I had a friend at the National Theatre that was working as a producer that got offered to do something independently on the side, so she got me on board to work on it as well. So I had those couple of briefs going on, but still not much. I was still applying to a couple of permanent positions, but I got to the end of my 7-8 months period I had given myself, and I didn't have a job. I had this couple of things going and enough money, I guess, to be like, I don't have to rush into the next thing. Let's see how it goes. So I work on this couple of freelance brief, carry on looking for opportunities on the side, reach back out to Jim at the Penguin Books. I'm 3 months out of the National Theatre by then, and he's like, you know what? Someone on my team just went on sabbatical leave to write a book, and I've been looking for someone to replace them. Do you want to come in for a chat? So,
Because you followed up.
Because I followed up, yes.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, the recipe is always the same. It's really hard for people to apply, but it's always the answer. Reach out to people, follow up. Yeah.
Follow up. So, sorry, go on. So he's got something for you.
Yeah, so I went in for a chat, and they offered me the fixed-term contract at Penguin Books for 5 months. So
it's working full-time there, right?
For 5 months, but obviously I've been putting out feelers for freelance as well, so then another really nice freelance opportunities come my way is asked to pitch for Somerset House on the summer series concert campaign. Yeah.
Okay, so for those who don't know, in London, Somerset House is a big, beautiful venue, but their summer series is a huge deal, and it's advertised everywhere.
Yeah, it's it's a beautiful historical building with an open air courtyard where they have selected numbers of high-profile musicians from different genres play one night in the summer. Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe there's another interesting story there in terms of advice to give, and I owe the advice to another amazing freelancer, Sarah Boris, which again was very generous with her advice, and they approached me to pitch. I know we were 3 people, 3 agencies pitching. I guess the first thing to know is they got my name from the National Theatre because obviously art institutions in London, especially ones with some kind of performance element, they all connected these marketing people. So they got my name from across the pond because the building also just across from each other at by the riverside. So yeah, and so they reached out to me. I think the other 2 people they were speaking to were agencies. And they sent me the brief, but then no mention of fee. And basically, Sarah had told me how strongly she felt about pitching for free and how important it was to educate clients. She had written an article about this for the IGA website. And so I reached out to Sarah saying, there's that thing happening. I think there's no budget to do the pitch. And I don't feel really comfortable doing this, but also, yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. So yeah, she said, you should talk to them. And so I talked to them, I explained to them, it's devaluing the industry, it's bad practice. It also, there's a strong advantage and privilege for an agency to pitch against a single freelancer because obviously they can, work with budget from commercial clients to cover their time. And I don't have that luxury. So they heard me and they offered a symbolic fee, but they offered me a fee.
Good for you. And that's because in that pitch process, you would have been generating ideas,
yes,
or mock-ups, and
yeah. They wanted 3 design proposals. I'm like, this is like several days of work.
Yeah.
So I got paid. I won that pitch. I ended up doing that campaigns.
Come on.
And then they approached me a year later again, and they were offering across the board to everyone the same nominal fee they had given me.
So you made a change as well.
So I made a change. So yeah. Speak to people, don't be scared. And I guess, yeah, if they had had a bad reaction, I would have lost an amazing opportunity, but also they were probably not the kind of client that would have valued me or any freelancer the way that we need to be. So I'm glad I found the courage. And again, it was, a tiny amount of money, a few £100, but the fact that they offered this and then that they offered this across the board, is a really positive change for the industry.
So your first almost proper freelance gig is Somerset House.
No, I had done some other but much smaller scale projects by then, but yeah, that was the big project while working at Penguin Books. So yeah, I basically took a couple of days off to work on the design, and there were a lot of lunchtime where I was basically doing resizes. Yeah, but yeah, that took me pretty much to the end of my contract at Penguin Books. And at this stage, actually, there was an opening another team at Penguin Books, and they got me in for a chat. So I could have stayed at Penguin, but I got really bad vibes from them. So I basically was like, I'm not going to take that job. And it was easier to walk out knowing that I was wrapping up a big campaign for Somerset House and being like, you know what, maybe this freelance thing has legs.
But how did you make the most of those legs? Where did it take you to next? Did you... Yeah, I'm not going to stretch the leg metaphor.
I mean, I've been freelancing solidly ever since. That was April 2019. And in terms of where I've been finding my work, I feel unbelievably lucky that having come from the National Theatre, I have a niche.
Right.
And also it's a very small niche where the people that commission you are a lot of marketers that have been moving around different theatres. So basically, it's been people I work with at the National Theatre that have moved to other venues, other theatres, that have, given me opportunities, put me on the pitch list, or recommended me to their colleagues. And this has just been a constant stream of work ever since, basically. So I know people don't necessarily value in-house roles in the design industry, but the pipeline from in-house to freelancer is unbelievable. the number of people who I know who have done this and who are really successful at it because they built the network of clients. Yeah, while working in this institution is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, what a network. But also, though, you've got to keep those relationships alive or have been remembered in the first place.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's definitely how you treat people. Like the Young Vic has been a client pretty much solidly since 2019. And how I got it at the Young Vic is it wasn't a marketer. I mean, it was someone who had worked as a PA for the head of marketing at the National Theatre who had moved there that gave my name.
So it's another big London theatre in the Young Vic.
Yeah. And
lovely.
Yeah, again, it wasn't a marketer. It's also how you treat, everyone in the venue. So yeah, that's also how people remember you, basically. So yeah.
It's also great because actually by the end of your time at the National Theatre, it sounded like you were quite burnt out, like you weren't necessarily into that role as much anymore.
Yeah.
But those bridges weren't burnt by the sounds of it.
No, absolutely not. I think I left in good terms with absolutely everyone there.
Yeah.
And, I think also people kind of understood something was off in the studio because I was the fifth out of 7 designers. I was the fifth to go within 9 months. So, it's definitely not a me problem.
So really, it's been word of mouth ever since? Or like how actively would you say you're putting yourself out there or marketing yourself?
So I guess what's important for me is, and one thing that I really value about freelancing is not being pigeonholed to just one thing. And people know me for the theatre, and I've worked out it's about 60% of my workload, 65% of my workload. But it allows me to pursue opportunities outside of theatre on the side as well. And this is where I had to do more outreach, I guess. But a lot of it has just been quite organic. Yeah, and also something to point out is I went freelance 11 months before lockdown, working mainly with theatres. The theatres were closed overnight when lockdown hit. So yeah, basically pretty much all of my client base disappeared overnight, which was a bit scary. I managed to use my publishing contacts to get a couple of book covers brief, but they don't pay a lot. But what happened is different agencies found me because I had profiles on some repertory, freelance repertory online. So there was the dots. They were quite big in the early 2020s. I'm not sure. I haven't really heard of them in a while now. But yeah, I had a profile them. But there's 100 of people. How the agency found me is still, I'm like, yeah, that was quite a lucky found. But yeah, so that was one job that kept me busy for 3-4 months.
So that's like an online directory called The Dots.
Yes.
Well, they had a community and stuff going on as well, didn't they? But yeah, so the directory allowed people to search for you and find you.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then later down the line, I was found because I had, again, put a really short profile on Creative Mornings website. Had attended a couple of events, had just put my website address and put one of my preferred poster and my thumbnail. And the person who was running the event was working as a studio manager for an agency. So yeah, that's how they found me. And again, that kept me busy for a good few months. And yeah, basically these two big agency job tied me over during the pandemic until the theaters reopened. And when the theaters reopened, my inbox started flowing again with this type of job. So yeah, I feel really lucky.
But you did mention that you've been doing outreach into other fields as well.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily with a lot of luck, to be honest, because I don't do it often. I don't follow up. Another thing I wanted to point out, the Henry Moore Foundation, which is probably my second most regular client after the Young Vic. Also, it came from a repertory which was designers of colors that had been started by someone in publishing, and I expected it would just been watched by people in publishing, but apparently not. So that came through that way as well. And then in terms of outreach, it's been more, speaking to museum. Like I'd love to work with a V&A. So I went to a talk that the head of design there was doing and then followed up. Went for coffee.
No, I was going to say, because there's one thing to go to a talk by the head of design at a museum, a massive museum, but presumably you went up and said hi.
Yeah, I did. I did at the end.
Okay.
I mean, I waited for the room to empty because obviously there were a lot of people in there and I felt really self-conscious. But yeah, I went to say hi at the end and said, that I'd love to meet them. And they say, oh, just send me an email. And they gave me their email address. So yeah.
And then they met you for coffee?
And then they met me for coffee, yeah.
Come on. That's not nothing, though. You could just go to that talk and that would be it.
Yeah. But I mean, I had to psych myself up knowing I don't know how many opportunities I have to, bump into these people. So I should really, use that opportunity for this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that. So sorry, though. So did you end up working with that museum?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Since then, I've just dropped an email once a year, maybe, and every time she replies. So, I feel like I still have a chance there. Something else that I did, I would love to work with The Guardian. But that was back in 2020, before the pandemic. I sent a really nice mailer. I think if you work as an illustrator or, any visual profession, email box, you can disappear pretty fast in in the black hole of everyone's emails box. But a nice mailer, if addressed to the right person, lands on someone's desk and it stays there. So yeah, I sent a couple of postcard pack with my favorite posters to the two creative directors there. And Chris Clark brought me in for a chat. And it was really complimentary, really lovely. And an opportunity came up to work with them pretty soon after that, but I couldn't take it on. And that was just before the pandemic. And since then, I've kept knocking at that door and still hasn't happened. So, but again, Chris always replies. I bump into him at various design talks and is always friendly and complimentary about my work. So, maybe there's still a chance that at some point it will come through.
I love the physical post element of it. Have you done that since?
No, I have not. I should, though.
Time for another one. Stamps are more expensive now, though.
Yeah, but someone else that I emailed at the time was someone else working in a different department at the Guardian, and she moved up to Apple pretty soon after, and she never replied to me about getting that. But again, I bumped into her in a DNA New Blood event last year. And she told me, I remember your pack of cards. I still have them pinned over my desk at Apple. And I was like, what?
Wow.
So, I think, you make an impression. You might not get a response, but you make an impression and you're much more likely to be remembered.
Back with Emily's story in a moment. I want to let you know that this episode is supported by Ecamm. It's the video studio that is hidden away inside your Mac, bringing TV studio style overlays and transitions to everything that you do with live video. And that might be, yes, live streaming, or it could be within your calls. It integrates with Zoom. I use it as a virtual webcam into Google Meet and Teams calls so that when I'm sharing my screen with clients, it looks amazing. Also, I do webinars live stream to all of the platforms at once by using Ecamm. It brings people's comments back in so that I can use them on the screen. And one tool that I really love now is their dual screen mode. So recently I created a demo, teaching people how to do something, right? And I did it landscape so that I could share it into places like YouTube and LinkedIn, but at the same time I was recording it in vertical. So it's the same video that I'm recording, but I've set out my different scenes, my screens, so that it looks great, both vertical format and landscape format. I'm not editing it afterwards, I'm doing it all live, but it creates two pieces of content which look amazing for those formats. Hopefully you can see how great that is if you create a lot of stuff for different places like I do. Try it for yourself. Go to beingfreelance.com/ecamm. There's a free trial that includes all of the features, so you can try it for yourself. But if you do go for a paid plan, make sure you use the code that I've got for you on that link, because it will save you 15% on your first payment. Right, let's get back to our story, find out what happens next with Emily. So it sounds like going to events, like you're making the most of being in a big city and going to these sort of things.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm a designer and I've always been going to lots of events, but before doing Ladies Wine Design, I don't know if I would have the courage to walk up to the speaker at the end of the event and say hi,
So will you make a point of going up to people when you go to these things?
No, not necessarily know often, but if it's someone I feel like I want to work with or someone whose talk really, really touched a nerve or moved me, then I will. Yeah.
And when it comes to staying in touch with the people that you've met over the years, are you systematic about, staying in touch with them, or?
I'm absolutely rubbish at this. I guess the thing is, there are a few design groups in London. There's a lot of overlap, so you do bump into the same people in person from time to time. Also, I spoke at Birmingham Design Festival 2 years ago, and same, it connected me with so many incredible people. Like, it was such a lovely environment, and they don't pay you to speak, but they give you, a free pass every year. So I've been going back and, hanging out with Malika Faber last year and Chris Clark again, It's unbelievable the access that places like this give you. But it means that you have to go past the discomfort to, stay in the room with them, maybe follow the group to the pub, this kind of stuff. And that, I know it can be quite hard if you're an introvert, and I'm an introvert. So I needed Ladies Wine in Design to just get me over that hump about, that you can do this. But I don't have any formal way to follow up with people. I basically only email people when things get quiet, and then maybe like once a year for a 2 months window where I'll panic and be like, oh, things have gone quiet. I don't know. I don't know how long it will be. And then I start emailing lots of people.
How did you make that step then from being somebody quite happily organising in the background to somebody standing on a stage?
Again, it just came organically, and also the fact that the events were quite small for quite a long time. Getting up in front of a room of 20 women, most of which you've met at other events before, and have always been really friendly, is not as daunting. And then little by little, the room gets bigger. Or little by little, so, the fact that pretty much all the events I spoke at were events where I've attended events there before in the audience. So I know the people in the room are lovely. So that helps. That helps. And then, always having, a friendly face and getting an amazing response. People following up after saying how, that they felt inspired to try something different, that they love my work, or, it's fuel to help you get over the nervousness. And there's always nerves for the first 5 minutes. But, as soon as, you get a laugh at a joke you've given, or you get of appreciation from the room where you reveal some work, then your nervous system relax, and you're like, I've got this, and you just get into the flow of talking about what you have to talk about.
Nice. One thing I did notice on your LinkedIn was there's a period of you being a freelance art director and designer, 2018 to 2021, and then it says independent art director and designer, 2021 to today. So literally just one word has changed. And I was wondering about that. What brought that change? What difference that has made?
I guess behind the scenes, the change is due for me from switching from sole trader to a limited company. In terms of positioning myself, it's more, I guess, I realize that when you tend to speak to people and you say you're a freelance designer, they assume that you're doing contract work for agencies and studios. And the reality of my work is more that I operate as a one-woman studio. But I feel weird about calling myself a studio. I know lots of people think this is a way to go, but I feel it's a bit misleading in terms of maybe the size of your studio. And then if you say one-woman studio, it just doesn't sound really good. So I landed on independent because I felt like it was the truest to what I do. And also I love the connotation that comes with the word independent, like independent thinking, indie musicians, there's a kind of immediate convokes that I think is quite nice, and I feel reflects the way that I work.
Yeah, it's interesting that, so you feel like the word freelance in your industry in particular anyway has a connotation where you're likely to go in for a short period of time and do what somebody asks you to do. But as an independent designer, people will come to you and you're working on this by your own kind of like fruition, your own terms.
And I guess also working in doing mainly theatre posters, it's you get a credit on the poster. And so this is how you get your name out there as well. Like I said that most of my theatre work has come from word of mouth, but there's also been a couple of instances where people have literally read the credits in small print at the bottom of the poster and be like, I love this. Like literally someone saw the poster on the tube and found my name this way and contacted me. So this is also important. And I guess it's the same with book cover designers. Like you get your name on the book jackets. So having an actual person's name rather than a studio, also it puts a stamp on it, like an illustrator, like this is my style that you're buying into. This is my ideas, So yeah, there's a lot of debate in our theatre poster WhatsApp group in terms of how to call ourselves. Is we designers, image makers, artists.
From freelance to independent, but you have stuck with your name, which is on the poster or in the book cover, rather than going, for example, with a company name.
Yeah, again, for the reason kind of outlined before, I think, people knowing that they buy into one person aesthetic rather than expecting a certain kind of service. And I guess that's the difference between maybe people coming to you because they want a poster and people that come to you because they want a poster from you. Nice, and I've got to a place where when I get an inquiry, I can very much know whether or not this is the first or the second one. And if it's the first one, I'm likely to say no.
It must be hard to say what that gut feeling is.
I mean, people will usually say, like, I love your work. I saw the poster you did for so-and-so. I thought it was great. Everyone responds well to flattery. But then there's also, you can just tell if an email is a copy-paste. I think you can tell across any industry. Like, where people just, dive straight into this is what we need and this is when we need it by.
That's so true, yes.
Yeah. Make me feel special.
Just want to ask you about work-life balance as well. Do you work from home?
Yeah, I'm literally working from my bedroom.
Nice. But yes, how's work-life balance for you?
I think it's pretty good. I feel like I work well. But I work pretty much, 10 to 6:30 p.m. every day. I'm a creature of habit, which is one of the reasons that I didn't think that freelance was for me. Is like I like routines. I like, knowing how things work and stuff like that. So yeah, I work pretty much 10 to 6. And also, again, I'm an introvert, so I actually really enjoy working from my own space rather than going to cafes or co-working spaces. But that also means that in the evening, I've got a full social battery to go out and do stuff, like going to design talks and, design events. But also something that I do is that it's quite important in my practice, even though it's not necessarily a big business thing, is doing things like mentoring, portfolio reviews, a bit of lecturing. And that often happened in the evening as well. Like last week, I took part in an event organized by the Arena, a portfolio review event. And I think it's important to, give back because I can very much owe my career to all these people who believed in me or who were generous with their time and advice. So I kind of want to do the same. And also it keeps you energized, meeting other creative, especially, people that are much younger, that think differently from you. Like it keeps you on your toes. And I really like that. Yeah.
Lovely. Now, I always do this thing where I ask for 3 facts about yourself.
Yeah.
To make 2 true, 1 a lie, and to let me figure out the lie. What do you have for me, Emily?
Oh, okay. So the first one, I started Ladies Wine Design London and ran the group for 7 years, even though I don't drink a drop of wine or alcohol, full stop. The organizers team group was called Ladies Cake and Design because we would always go for cake and tea to plan our events. Number 2, so I studied design back in France, but before that I did what we call a foundation year, where you try a lot of different disciplines. The school where I was doing my foundation year had a BA in scientific illustration. So things like anatomical drawing, botanical, highly realistic drawings. So yeah, I don't know if you can see behind me, but drawing was very much my first passion. So I can spend hours drawing a portrait and this is my happy place. That was my first dream. I was like, you know what, I'd really want to do that. So I applied, but sadly I didn't get it. It's really competitive. There's like 10 spots. So,
But then what a different world it could be. Well, if it's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3.
And number 3, so I ended up doing a BA in graphic design in Paris suburb in Montreuil, which is a region which is very... Yeah, I guess you could say it's quite rough and it's got a bad reputation in France, that region, because you've got the suburb where the riots happened a few years ago and all of this. So they do get quite a bit of subvention and support for young people. Basically, our teacher put a project together for us to fly to Mexico as a school trip to study fair trades and come back and design posters about it for an awareness campaign. And yeah, so we flew to Mexico as a class, went around the country for 10 days. I think we just ended up being like 400 euros for, 10 days in Mexico, everything covered. And yeah, I visited a few touristy sites, but also natural reserves, went to meet an indigenous community that were growing their own coffee. Yeah, incredible experience.
Oh man, what is the lie here? It would be quite funny for somebody who organised Ladies Wine and Design to not touch a drop of alcohol. Quite a lot of people don't drink alcohol these days, but it's called Ladies Wine and Design. So is that true? Science? I don't see why the science art one couldn't be true, because you didn't do it. But then the trip to Mexico feels really random to make up. If that didn't happen. So what is the lie here? Maybe... No, okay, I'm going to say the science one, the art one, the middle one, number 2, the science art one, that's the lie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes!
Good guess. Good guess. There was indeed a class, but I didn't apply and didn't think it was for me because I'm really skirmish. So, looking at open bodies would have been...
Does mean you organised Ladies Wine and Design without a drop of alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on.
Yeah.
I would be there for ladies' cake and tea or whatever. Well, were I a lady. Right, very much there on the cake front. So what would you say you found the most challenging part of being freelance?
There are a few things, like negotiating money is quite tough, but ultimately the thing that I go back to and it's become kind of a joke with my friends is I think one of the hardest bits of this life is be a good boss to yourself. Yeah, if you worked in any kind of setting with an employer, it's easy to get frustrated with the decisions they make, feel like they don't respect your time or value your expertise or that the processes are all wrong. But when you become your own boss, then it's on you to make all these decisions. And I think it's also important to look at it holistically, because mental health is a really important thing to deal with as well, especially when you're a freelancer and you don't know when your next job is going to come through and you have a bad experience with a client, you get dropped from a project. You have to deal with rejection and being really disciplined about things. So yeah, I feel like being a good boss to yourself, knowing when is it that you've been going at it for too long and you need a break, and prioritizing holiday as much as you do pursuing work, negotiating what your worth is, having uncomfortable conversations because ultimately it will make your life easier, like the thing about the pitching. All these things are really important, but it means you have to hold yourself to a very high standard.
You've mentioned a lot about sort of the sense of community, talking openly to other designers, freelancers.
Yeah.
Is that where most of your kind of like development or thinking around freelancing has come from? Or have you been a mentee? Have you had coaching, like any of those kind of things?
The community is a really important thing in any kind of freelance position that you are, if you can find your people, because it can be a really lonely life, then it makes a huge difference. So now, I mentioned briefly, I have that WhatsApp group with other theatre poster designers, independent theatre poster designers, very niche. There's about 15 of us with people that are more like comedian and stuff like this. But and it's been unbelievably supportive. We share things like contract terms. if someone has a bad experience with clients, they send us the email, and everyone was kind of like get their head together and make suggestions about how to respond. If someone has a really busy month and can't take on any work and they have to pass down work, they just put a call out in the group chat saying, does anyone wants to take this? People share about how much they charge. So yeah, it's incredibly supportive, and yeah, I feel really lucky to be part of this community, which was started by Laura Whitehouse, another one of your amazing guests. Actually, yeah, she's the one who started this. So yeah, and same, she just reached out. She reached out through Instagram saying, I've been following you for a while. We do the same type of work. How about we started chatting? I'm talking to other people too, and then yeah, it turned into like meeting at the pub, and then the WhatsApp group was created, and it's been going strong for 3 years now. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
You can hear how important community is to Emily. If you want to come and join our community of freelancers, it is at beingfreelance.com. Click on community. We will see you in there. It's a really nice private chat forum. So it's not like publicly talking about issues that you might have with your clients or anything like people might do on LinkedIn. It's all private because we host it on a platform called Circle. We do loads of regular live streams, co-working sessions. We even meet up in real life occasionally as well. And what's really lovely, like last week I saw people from the community going off to one of the big events in the country together and all hanging out together. So I was nothing to do with it. It wasn't one of our organised things, but it happens because people are making friends in the group. Why not come find us? Go to beingfreelance.com, click on community, and I'll see you in there. Right now, let's get back to Emily's story. Did you have coaching as well?
Yeah, at one point I also work with a coach to work on my confidence around pricing. I'm still not really good at it, so sorry, Tim. It was quite an interesting process trying to find the person to work with as a coach, because there are a lot of people that put a lot of emphasis around the business side and the processes, and I felt like I needed someone to help me think bigger and to be more ambitious in terms of have you thought about doing this thing that's really different from what you do, or encourage me to do public speaking and stuff like this and put myself more out there on LinkedIn. But also that person used to work in TV. Yeah, basically they also introduced me to a lot of people working in TV, and that has led to a couple of projects with the BBC. So yeah, that's contacts, recommendations are invaluable in terms of finding work too.
But that coaching was more around, it sounds more like mindset.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, what I liked about them, and they were working with a couple of other designer friends that are not really pure designers, if you know what I mean. There were people that were also doing teaching on the side or selling their own merchandising. So they were kind of more like illustrators / artists, doing public art commissions. And I like that about them. I was like, I know I have a lot of things in my arsenal. I don't really know how to talk about this. I've got the Domestika course. I do a bit of lecturing. I like the mentoring. I don't know if I want to do, anything that less actual practical design and more about, I don't know if it's consulting or coaching or mentoring or, running classes. And it was really helpful to talk to that person to just keep an open mind about where I could go and have a think about not seeing myself just as a designer / art director. Yeah. So that was helpful. I think I wasn't really ready to, switch gears from the design, but it has given me a lot of food for thought, and I think it's definitely something that I will revisit at some point. So maybe we need to have another chat, in 6 years' time or something, and and I'll be calling myself something completely different, Steve.
Now, Emily, if you could tell your younger self one thing about being freelance, what would that be?
I think just do it. I'm someone who I think is quite risk adverse, someone who likes my comfort, my routines, having, processes in place and people to go to. So I always felt like working for someone was just the natural thing for me. And it took years for me to actually consider that freelance might be an option and to make the jump. So freelance is not scary, maybe is what I would tell them, and you will love it. Yeah.
Emily, it's been so good to chat today. Is Ladies Wine and Design still going? It's just that you're not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's still going.
Okay.
I had a year overlap with two women that are really amazing, Joanna and Vale, that, took over and have been running it, have grown the team. So yeah, they're still going. There are chapters all around the UK as well. So if your listeners are not based in London, definitely look up if there's a local chapter.
Are they all around the world?
Yeah. I don't know how many are still active, but at one point there were over 300 chapters around the world.
No way. Oh, come on. There's still got to be one near you somewhere. If you liked the idea of ladies' wine and design, then...
or ladies' cake and design.
then go find that. Emily, it's been so good to talk to you. Love what you're doing and the way you're doing it. Make sure you go to beingfreelance.com because there'll be links through so that you can find Emily online. But for now, thanks so much. I'll catch up with you in 6 years then, shall I? All the best. Being Freelance.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
That's it. We're done for another one. Always love to see your reactions to these episodes. So if it's a commenting place where you're watching or listening to this, then please do leave a comment. But also share it, of course, on social media and tag me in Steve Folland or Being Freelance. Come find me because I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course in the Being Freelance community all of the time. It'd be great to see you there. But I'll see you for another one of these very soon. You have a great week. Being Freelance.